or analysis. The user wants a 1,400-word story based on a specific title about a single dad janitor who helps a paralyzed billionaire. They want strong emotional intro, no headings, USA English, themes of kindness, selflessness, humanity, captivating hook, relatable characters, unexpected turns, emotional climax, heartwarming resolution. This is a creative writing request that I can fulfill directly without needing computer tools or file creation. The user hasn't asked me to save this as a document, just to write the story. I'll craft an engaging narrative that hits all these elements. Marcus. Chen's daughter asked him once why he always smiled at people who never smiled back. He was scrubbing the marble floors of the Cordova Industries Tower at the time, his hands raw from industrial cleaner, his knees aching against the cold stone. "Because, baby girl," he'd said, "sometimes a smile is the only thing standing between a person and giving up." He didn't know then that 6 months later, his own smile would become someone's lifeline, or that the woman who would change his life forever would first meet him with nothing but contempt. The executive elevator doors opened at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, and Marcus moved his mop bucket aside, nodding respectfully as he always did. He expected another suited figure to brush past him without acknowledgement. Instead, he saw her, Vivian Cordova, the billionaire CEO whose face graced Forbes covers and whose name commanded boardrooms across 3 continents. But this wasn't the powerful woman from the magazines. This was someone else entirely. She sat rigid in a motorized wheelchair, her designer suit perfectly tailored, her dark hair pulled back with precision. But her eyes, those eyes that had stared down competitors and sealed billion-dollar deals, were utterly empty. Her assistant pushed the chair forward, and Vivian's gaze passed through Marcus as if he were invisible. "Good evening, Ms. Cordova," Marcus said warmly, stepping back to give her room. She didn't respond. Her assistant, a tired-looking woman named Patricia, offered Marcus a tight smile. She's not speaking to anyone right now." Marcus nodded, watching as they disappeared down the hallway toward Vivian's penthouse office. He'd heard the rumors, of course. 6 months ago, Vivian Cordova had been in a catastrophic car accident. Spinal injury, paralyzed from the waist down, the company's stock had plummeted. Shareholders had panicked. But Vivian had refused to step down, conducting meetings from her wheelchair with the same iron will that had built her empire. What the business magazines didn't report was the darkness that had settled over her like a shroud. Over the following weeks, Marcus saw her every night during his shift. She worked late, or perhaps she simply couldn't bear to go home. Sometimes she'd emerge from her office at midnight, her assistant long gone, maneuvering her wheelchair through the empty halls. It was past 1 a.m., and Marcus was emptying trash bins on the 42nd floor when he heard it, a sound so raw and broken it stopped him cold. He found her in the corner conference room, her wheelchair facing floor to ceiling, windows that overlooked the glittering city below. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. "Miss Cordova?" He spoke softly, the way he did when his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, woke from nightmares. "Get out." Her voice was hoarse, sharp with pain and rage. Marcus should have left. Any sensible person would have. Instead, he set down his cleaning supplies and walked slowly into the room. "I used to sit like this," he said quietly, "after my wife died." Just staring out windows, wondering why I was still breathing when she wasn't. Vivian's head turned slightly. In the window's reflection, he could see her tear-stained face. "You don't know anything about what I'm going through." "You're right," Marcus agreed, moving to stand several feet away, respecting her space. "I could walk away from those windows. I can walk home to my daughter every night. I can run with her in the park." He paused. "But I do know what it's like to feel like everything you were is gone. To look in the mirror and see a stranger. It's different." Her voice cracked. "I built an empire. I ran marathons. I climbed mountains. She stopped, her hands gripping the wheelchair's armrests. "Now I'm just this broken thing people pity. Is that what you think you are, broken?" "I can't walk!" The words exploded from her. "I can't feel my legs. I'll never walk again. Every doctor, every specialist, they all say the same thing. This is permanent. This is forever." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that would change everything. What if they're wrong? She laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. Are you a doctor? A miracle worker? I'm a janitor, Marcus said simply. But I'm also a guy who spent 2 years learning everything about spinal cord, injuries, and physical rehabilitation when my sister was in a motorcycle accident. Vivian turned her chair to face him fully for the first time. Your sister? She was paralyzed. T11 complete. Doctors told her she'd never walk again either. Marcus met her gaze steadily. She walked at my daughter's baptism 3 years later. That's impossible. That's what everyone said. Marcus pulled his phone from his pocket, scrolled through photos and held it out. The image showed a smiling woman standing with leg braces and forearm crutches, her face radiant with triumph. Vivian stared at the photo. How? Experimental protocols, aggressive physical therapy, electrical stimulation, stem cell treatments. A lot of pain, a lot of failure, a lot of getting back up, sometimes literally. He pocketed his phone, but mainly, someone who refused to accept impossible. I've seen the best doctors in the world. I'm sure you have. And they gave you statistics and probabilities, Marcus. Crouched down so he was at eye level with her. But statistics don't account for human will. They don't account for someone who built a billion-dollar company from nothing. They don't account for you, Ms. Cordova. Something flickered in her eyes. Not hope, not yet, but maybe the memory of hope. Why do you care? You don't even know me. My wife used to say that we're all connected by invisible threads, Marcus said softly. That when we help each other, we're really just honoring those threads. You've probably walked past me 1,000 times and never seen me, but I've seen you. I've seen someone who's fighting even when she doesn't want to. That's not broken, Miss Cordova, that's courage. Vivian was silent for a long moment. Then quietly, what would I have to do? Marcus spent the next hour telling her everything he'd learned about spinal cord injury, rehabilitation. He told her about his sister's journey, the experimental programs, the small victories measured in millimeters of movement, the devastating setbacks. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He didn't promise miracles. It might not work, he said honestly. But giving up definitely won't work. I'll help you walk, Marcus said, standing to leave. If you'll let me. Vivian laughed then, but this time it was different. It started as disbelief, morphed into something like hysteria, and then broke into genuine tears. But these weren't tears of despair. These were tears of something she hadn't felt in 6 months. Possibility. You're insane, she whispered. Probably, Marcus agreed with a gentle smile. My daughter tells me that all the time. Over the next 9 months, Marcus became an unlikely fixture in Vivian Cordova's life. She enrolled in the experimental program his sister had completed. Marcus accompanied her to every therapy session, arriving straight from his night shifts, his janitor's uniform exchanged for gym clothes. He held her hand through the excruciating electrical stimulation treatments. He caught her when her legs buckled during standing frame exercises. He celebrated when she moved her big toe for the first time, a movement so small, no one else would have noticed. The media called it a publicity stunt when the story leaked. A billionaire and her janitor. The headlines wrote themselves. But they didn't see the 4 a.m. sessions when Vivian wanted to quit. They didn't see Marcus bring in his daughter, Lily, to cheer Vivian on during difficult days. They didn't see the friendship that formed between two people from completely different worlds who discovered they weren't different at all. 13 months after that night in the conference room, Vivian Cordova stood at a press conference. Not in her wheelchair, stood, supported by leg braces and forearm crutches, her legs trembling with effort. Marcus stood in the back of the room with Lily on his shoulders, tears streaming down his face. I was told I'd never walk again, Vivian said, her voice strong despite her shaking limbs. I believed it. I'd given up. She paused, searching the crowd until she found Marcus's eyes. And then a janitor told me statistics don't account for human will. He was right. Later, in the quiet of the empty auditorium, Vivian made her way slowly to where Marcus was collecting Lily's dropped toys. I'm creating a foundation, she said, for spinal cord injury research and rehabilitation. I want you to run it. Marcus looked up, startled. Miss Cordova, You're not a doctor or a scientist. I know. Vivian smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes for the first time since he'd known her. But you're something better. You're someone who sees people, who reminds them they're not statistics. She extended her hand. Please, let's help more people walk. Marcus took her hand, thinking of invisible threads, of his wife's wisdom, of his daughter's smile. Okay, he said simply. Sometimes a smile is the only thing standing between a person and giving up. Marcus had told his daughter that once. He didn't know then how right he was, or that the person most in need of that smile would be someone who seemed to have everything, but had lost the one thing that mattered most: hope. And sometimes, he learned, helping someone walk is about more than legs and muscles and nerves. Sometimes it's about showing them that impossible is just a word, and that kindness, offered freely, without expectation, can move mountains that medicine never could.